Hello and welcome to Aspire Art Studios. This is Miss Tiffany, and I'm here to help you all draw Boo, the internet famous Pomeranian puppy. How cute. Now, we need to have all our supplies ready. Do you have a pencil, an eraser, and a paper that's around 5.5 inches by 11 inches? Try to make sure it fits around that size. 9 by 12 is okay. Sketchbook paper that's around that size is good too. As long as it's not too big, that makes it hard for you to color, or too small, that makes it hard for you to draw. Next, we need to make sure we have tracing utensils. So you need to get Sharpie markers. You gotta get me the big one that has the rounded tip and the little one that has the flat tip. Then after, we're going to be using coloring supplies like color pencils and oil pastels. You have all your supplies ready? Alright, let's start. Now, we're going to draw with using big shapes first, okay? We're going to use big simple shapes. We're not going to draw the outlines, okay? That's not how you draw, because then look at that. It can get really messy and looks really funny. We're going to use something called construction, which is where you use big simple shapes to break down the picture to make it easier for you to build on top of it, and that way you can make sure that it's going to be in the right size, right place, and right shape, right? So make sure you follow along and draw big simple shapes for construction with me, alright? So you want to draw the biggest shape that you see here, which is a circle for the head. Alright. So we're going to draw a big old circle, and try your best to make your circle look nice and neat like this, okay? And if you need to erase your paper and pause the video, you can go ahead and do so. I'll wait for you as long as you need to. Next, we're going to draw the next biggest shape, which is this rectangle here, or a square. It's pretty squarish, but it's a little bit longer than, oops, mine's a little too long. It's a little bit longer than a square. See that? So we're going to draw this as one big shape, and then we're going to cut out of it later. Yeah? Okay, next we're going to move on to our smaller shapes, okay? So a smaller shape like this muzzle here. Now, if you want to draw the muzzle, you can draw it like this, but remember, if we're going to be using big simple shapes, we're going to draw it as simple as we can. So like a semicircle, okay? So a big semicircle in the middle. Well, not the direct middle, but like in the middle and a little bit lower. So that way we have more space for the forehead and the eyes. Make it look really cute. Because which one's cuter? Is it cuter if it's like this? Like that? Or is it cuter if the face is a bit more scrunched up? Think about all your favorite characters, like Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty's face is pretty scrunched up. Her nose is right in between her eyes, right? So it makes it look a lot cuter when you bring the eyes lower. Because if you bring the eyes too high, then it's going to make it look more like an adult, more mature. Not very cute. So we're going to draw the eyes next. So that you see how the eyes are on top of the muzzle right there? So one eye, oops, two eyes. Mine's a little bit off, but it's okay if it's just a little bit off, okay? As long as you can draw around the same or similar, then it's fine, okay? Let's draw the ears next. We want to make sure these ears are nice and wide, and same on the both sides, okay? Because if you notice here, if I draw these ears, you see how much space there is in between? That's a big wide triangle, right? I do not want to see pointy triangles that are super close together, because it makes it look like the dog has spikes. And we're not drawing a spiky dog, we're drawing a normal dog. Next, I'm going to draw the curve here, and then I'm going to draw the mouth. See that? First, we'll draw one line, and I'm going to erase this extra line so we don't get confused. Let's do the legs next. We'll come back to the face later, okay? I'm going to draw the separation here. Now we drew this as a rectangle, but now we're going to cut it apart and make sure we make it look more like how we see in the picture. See that? Construction. Let's erase this here. And then these paws make sure they come out a little bit wider, okay? And that way you can have these paws nice and big, like that. And erase those lines in. You can erase your lines later, but I'm going to erase my lines right now. That way we can keep it nice and clean so we don't get confused and trace extra lines that we don't want to trace. It's okay if you accidentally trace them over, but try to do your best not to, okay? So, you see how I draw this back foot here? I'm going to draw not a real line, but I'm going to bring my pencil all the way over to here. See that? And that way, make sure all your lines touch. That way you can make sure that they're level and not too high, not too low. Because you don't want to see this. Oh my gosh. If you draw that, that's going to be a crazy leg. You're going to have one short leg, one big leg. Just like Nemo from Finding Nemo, right? You connect those legs. Now you have the back leg. Now it's sitting. Now, we're going to draw 2 more lines inside the mouth. This is for the outside part of the mouth, and this is to separate the inside for the teeth and the tongue. We are almost done with dog. Let's draw these curved lines here and erase these lines. Make it look nice and neat. Sometimes you accidentally erase some lines that you didn't mean to erase, but that's okay. Just make sure you draw them back in. And then we're going to draw inside the eyes. Circle, circle in the middle. Scary! But then, if you draw this little circle here, those are the highlights. Now your dog might look a little scary and weird right now, but when you color it like this, it'll make it look a lot neater. It's just because you have all these circles in the eyes and make it look like holes or spots. Let's draw these lines on the sides. Now you do want to pay attention here, because when you draw these lines, it kind of follows a circle and goes down. If you draw it like this, makes it look like an eyelash. So be careful of that, alright guys? What do you think this dog is missing right now? That's right, the nose. We have to draw the nose, and also these little lines inside the paws, the little paw fingers. One in the back, and 2 in the front. See that? Look at how cute our puppy is! Good job! We're going to draw the background now, okay? Now the background isn't as important as the dog, so it's okay if your lines don't match up completely, as long as you have enough space to color in for your bush and your sky and your grass, okay? So around to here, on the back leg, you're gonna draw that line, that line for the ground, and then on top of the ground are bushes. Now, I don't want you to just go straight to drawing the bumps, because what if you draw it super crazy? That's not very nice. And when you draw a curved line here, those are your guidelines for the bush. That way you can make sure your bush bumps are going to be nice and straight. Because what if you do something like this? Then you have to make sure your bushes follow it nice and neat, or else you're going to have a hard time making it follow, okay? So try to draw with guidelines every time, okay? Nice guidelines. Make sure all of the things that need bumps and textures can go in a straight line. Okay, now let's draw our sun next. What shape is a sun? A circle, that's right. And then let's draw our clouds. We're going to draw the bottom part of your clouds first. And you draw bumps, like that. See that? And you draw this one as well. See? Alright, let's do some flowers, and then we'll be done. Oh wait, and a bone, and then we'll be done with our drawing. Good job. What shape is this flower here? A triangle, right? Let's draw a triangle. What shape is this flower? A semicircle, or a half circle. Or rather, it's a half oval, because it's a little bit longer. And then let's draw stems. 2 lines going down, 2 lines going down. Let's draw lines for the leaves. We'll draw this first, okay? And then let's draw this one as well, here and here. And then let's draw the lines inside the flowers. This one has 2, this one has 3. So you draw the one in the middle first, and then you do the V, the slanted lines, okay? Now let's draw the leaves. Curve and curve. Now if you paid close attention to these leaves here, Oops. You see how it goes curve around like that and curve around like that? I don't want to see something like this. That's too ovally. We want you guys to make it nice and pointy like a real leaf, okay? And make sure your lines always touch, okay? Touch, 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 oops, touch, touch. And this one's actually round at the very end, so you have to be careful of that. Oops. And then this one has the V's, the veins. V for veins inside the flowers. So let's draw V, 1V, 2 V's, 1V, 2V. Oh, here. Now, the toy, if you have the space, you can turn it into a tennis ball, or you can turn it into a bone. But if you draw a bone, you have to draw a rectangle and bumps on the outside. Or, you know what? My own dog has a toy bee, so I'm gonna draw a bee, okay? And the bee has little hairs, crazy hair, and it has an oval body, and it has stripes, and it has a face. Oh, and you know what? It has wings too. 1, 2. And it has the little veins inside the wings too. He's gonna have a bee toy just like my dog. Alright, we're gonna be doing some tracing next, so make sure you get all your supplies ready, okay? Alright, is everyone ready for tracing now? So, make sure you have your Sharpies out, okay? We're going to be using your big Sharpie first, and then we'll be using your little Sharpie after, alright? Now, just like how we draw, we want to also trace the big shapes first as well, okay? So make sure that you have your big Sharpie to trace the big shape like the head, right? And so we're going to trace around, and remember how we erase those lines? We're going to trace only the lines that we see now, okay? And make sure you trace nice and neat like this, because you don't want to do like this lines, sketchy lines, and you don't want to do any wibbly-wobbly lines like this. Now, try to make your lines nice and smooth and try to trace on the line as best as you can. But if you go off the line by accident, it's okay. So, you're going to go to these paws next. We also want to trace the things that are in front of other things too. That way, it makes it a little easier for when you trace. That way, you can make sure the lines are going to match up a little easier. And try to make sure your lines all touch, okay? Because if you don't have the lines touching, you're going to have little gaps. And you don't want any gaps to be in your picture, or else the color in your picture is going to spill out, and then it's going to get all over. So now, if you look at these bushes, I actually forgot to erase these lines under, but you know what? If you trace the bumps without tracing that part, that works just as well. Like that. See that? So whenever you have bushes or clouds, remember not to trace a line under, okay? Because if you do, then it's going to look like a giant flower or a giant taco. Now, if you accidentally go outside of your line like that, just leave it, because you know what happens? When you erase all your pencil lines, no one's going to know that you messed up. If you try to go back and try to fix it like this, it's going to look like you did make a mistake, because there's one line that's really thick there, right? So do your best, kind of trace the lines as best as you can. Here. I'm going to do the muzzle here that's big. Here. And I'm going to do the outside part. But the rest of this dog is going to be with the little Sharpie. Or if you don't have a little Sharpie, then you can use a black pen. So do your best, trace everything, and make sure that you trace on your line, or if you don't, just be careful. I'm going to trace the outside of the bee here, the big Sharpie, and then I'm going to switch to the little Sharpie now, okay? So you want to press with your little Sharpie these smaller lines. So it makes sense, right? Big Sharpie for big lines, little Sharpie for little lines, right? And little lines are in the little shapes. Because this is what happens if you try to trace this part with the big Sharpie. It's like this. And it gets really messy looking. So that's why you want to use your little Sharpie. Trace the little lines. See? And I'm going to use, the leaves are kind of small too. So I'm going to use the little Sharpie to trace those. And you see how when I trace the flower, I only trace the outside? That's because the outside shape is a bigger shape, but the inside, usually you want to leave the inside parts to be little Sharpie. That way, it doesn't pop out too much and doesn't make everything too confusing to look at. You want to be able to make just the outside shapes pop out more. That way you can tell what it is apart from the background, because you can tell what shape it is, right? Okay, we're almost done with the flowers. Oh, I forgot this one here. For the eyes, I'm going to trace the eye like that. Oops, connect that all the way here. You can trace the circle and then the line under, but I'm doing it like that. And since I'm on the computer, I can fix it. You can do this line here. Now these lines you can do with the big Sharpie, but I'm trying to have you guys all follow the mostly like the small lines, the detail lines, with the little Sharpie. And there we go. We're done tracing. Was that fun? Now, this is most students' least favorite part of the project, erasing. So make sure you hold down your paper with one hand and use your eraser in your other hand and erase, erase, erase. Make sure you use that big eraser, not the eraser on the end of your pencil. Because if you use the eraser on the end of your pencil, then it's going to be a little harder for you to erase. It's going to take a little bit longer because it's so small. You want to use big tools for big areas, right? Just like how we use the big Sharpie for the big shapes. Awesome. Now we're done with erasing. Do you have all your coloring supplies ready? Alright, so we're going to start with the background first. Now why do we want to do the background first? That's because we want to do all the biggest areas first, and oftentimes the background is really big. Like you see this grass here? That's a really big grass. So we're going to do our best and color it nice and neat, okay? Now, you see how the color is split in half in the sky there? So I want you to draw a line with this darker blue or the lighter blue, whichever one. You're going to draw a line all the way across, around to the bottom of this cloud here. It's okay if you don't put it in the exact same place, as long as you separate the sky into two areas. Now, when we color, we want to make sure that we trace around our edges nice and neat like this. See that? That way, you can make sure that when you start coloring, you don't accidentally go outside your lines as much. It's to protect you from going outside the lines. It's called fencing. So this is also something that a lot of teachers and a lot of professional artists do too, because they know what it means to not go outside your lines and to make sure that you color nice and neat. Okay, I'm done with the top part. Now you see how I didn't do the bottom part? That's because the bottom part is light blue. So you can use your light blue too and start fencing the parts down here. See that? And when you color, make sure you color nice and neat around the edges. You don't have to color around the edge of the paper, because you can just go off the paper like that. You just need to trace around the black lines that you see that you traced. Alright? See here? And these parts are the parts that are going to be sky and not, and the bushes are not going to be sky. They are going to be green, like in the picture. See that? Go around all the way like that. Awesome. Now when you color, I want you to make sure you color in one direction all the way. Okay? If you choose to go this direction, you have to do it over here, and 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 over here, everywhere in that same direction. You have to make sure you color in short strokes, and make sure you color all the way and get all your white spots. That way you can make sure that you have a nicely colored picture. Because does this look like nice coloring? That has so many white spots. It's going so messy. That doesn't look very nice now, does it? So, make sure you color all the way nice and neat. fill this in so that we can move on, okay? And then after you finish doing your top part of the sky with the darker blue, we'll do the lighter blue, okay? Now, do you know why the sky is darker on the top and lighter on the bottom? It's because when you look at the sky outside, you can see if you look up, it'll be darker. And if you look straight across, like looking straight in front of you, the sky will be a little bit lighter. Because when you look higher, it's a little bit closer to the space, right? And what color is space? Space is black. Since space is black and dark, that means that the sky is also going to get a little bit darker and closer to the sky. So that's why it's a little bit darker up there. Alright, so let's do the next big area a little below it, which are the bushes. So you want to get me a light green and a darker green. As long as one is lighter than the other and one is darker than the other, it's fine. Now you want to draw a curved line for the bushes, because these bushes are not straight. It's not straight like this. Your bushes are going downwards. So we're going to do kind of like a curve here and a curve here. See that? And we're going to do the same thing as we did before. You want to trace around the top parts of your bush. And you have to make sure you trace around the dog too, because a dog is not going to be green. What color is a dog? Dog is gold and tan, like a sand, beige tan color. Alright? So go ahead and keep coloring. I'm gonna fill mine up. Oops. That way we can get on with our video. Next we'll do the grass. Make sure you color this nice and neat and do your best, okay? Because this is going to be a lot of coloring. So if you need to take a break, oops, then you can go ahead and take a break. And then you need to start color on the bottom. Oops. There it goes. Alright, awesome! We finished all of our shadow. Now, you see this shadow down here? That's called a cast shadow. That is for when you put your hand on top of your table, you see that the table under your hand is a little bit darker, right? Or if you go outside and stand on the ground, you see you have your shadow on the ground, right? That's because everything that you can see has a shadow. And that way it means that it exists in the world and that it is real. But if it's not real, if it doesn't have a shadow, then it's either like a ghost or a vampire. So we're going to add that shadow either now or later. But I'm going to do it right now because we can do this and then we'll almost be done with the ground, okay? So you do a little curve from here to here, and from here to here, and a little curve from here to here. And then you color it all the way in, okay? There you go! Alright, let's color in that puppy! Now, you can follow the colors for this picture, or if you want your puppy to be brown, or if you want your puppy to be white with black spots like a Dalmatian, you can. But just make sure that your puppy is not going to be the same color as the surrounding colors. Because if you have your puppy be green, then your puppy is going to blend in too much. And if you look from far away, you can barely tell there's a puppy. See? Even though there are black lines, it's still kind of hard to see. So let's make sure your puppy is a different color from everything else. No blue and no green. Alright? For me, I'm going to follow the picture. And you see how there's a separation on the cheeks here? You want to do a little curve here. See that? You can color the top part with this kind of like goldish color, okay? If you can't find gold, you can do a light brown. If you can't find light brown, you can do pretty much any color, like I said, right? So there's my dog, and I'm going to color the rest of the dog with this color. Magic. Oh, and don't forget the muzzle. And down here. Now, it accidentally filled in on the nose, but I'm going to fix that later, okay? Now, the bottom of the paws are actually going to be a little bit of that gold color. So I'm going to color that a little bit on the bottom not just tan, 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 tan all over. It makes it a little bit more interesting because this color is also found somewhere else on the body. Okay, now I'm going to color the tongue, okay? You can either color the tongue pink or red because that's what color tongues are. But did you know there is a type of dog called a chow chow, and a chow chow has a blue tongue. Whoa! I don't know why it has a blue tongue, but it sure is cool. And it's super fluffy. So cute. Do you know what kind of dogs you like? Do you like big dogs or little dogs or fluffy dogs or short hair dogs? I like mostly little dogs, but as long as it's fluffy, I'm okay with it. Okay, we're almost done. We just have to finish doing all the small parts on the bottom and the top. Let's do your sun next. Let's just color that in. So the only time you can change directions when you're tracing around is when you're tracing the edges of a shape that you're supposed to be coloring in. And then you have to choose one direction and color in that way for the rest of it once you're done tracing around. That way you can have a nice neat color. And the clouds are usually white, so we're just going to use a little bit of gray color on the bottom. Make sure that you just do only the bottom, because that's the shadow of the clouds. Because if you look at clouds outside, they're rarely ever just pure white. They have a little bit of shadow in them. So that's what we're using gray for. And now, I'm actually going to let you guys color your flowers whatever color you want. But remember, do not make them green, or else they're going to blend in too much with the grass. I'm going to finish coloring mine the same. For this one, I'm going to do this dark blue, light blue pattern here. What's your favorite color? My favorite color is teal. Maybe I should make teal for here. Let's make it a teal color. I love teal. Yeah. Now, when we do the stems, we don't want to use the same kind of green as here, even though stems are green. Let's use a darker green like we use for the shadow, okay? So we'll color that in, and we'll color the bottom parts of these leaves too. Because if we do two colors for the leaves, it makes it look a little bit more interesting, a little bit more realistic too. It makes it look really pretty, okay? So we're going to color these. Almost done with our picture. And after that, we just have to add some texture on the grass. And we have to color our bee. Bees. And the other day, I put a bee in the hood of my dog. She didn't care. She just left it in her hood because she's a lazy puppy. Here, and we're almost done. I'm going to use this light green. I'm going to use this to color the rest of these leaves. Here, 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 here. And then, what color is a bee, guys? That's right, they're yellow. I'm going to use yellow to color in the bee. Oops. It's okay if you accidentally color over the eyes because bees have black eyes. Okay, let's do yellow here and yellow here. And the bee also had yellow hair on the top. And then let's do some black for the stripe. Black and yellow stripes. And then I'm going to do a light blue for the wings. But you can do silver, gray, or even gold for the wings if you want. Or you can color your toy, if you didn't do a bee, whatever color you want. Awesome. Now, we're going to do one last thing. Texture. Because if you look at your grass, it just looks like a light green and dark green ground. But if we add little grass lines, like 1, 2, 3, like that, it makes it look a little bit more like grass, because it looks like it's a little bit more pointy now, right? I'm adding a little bit more than the picture on the left side, but try to make sure they're around this much space apart, and make sure you do it on the top and the bottom, alright? Oh, and I forgot, we have to add a little shadow for the bee, because the bee needs a shadow too. Awesome! Good job, guys! Did you all have fun? for our art class, you can come look on the Aspire Art Studios website here at www.aspireartstudios.com. You can, if you take a picture and upload it onto Instagram and Facebook, you can find us on there. And you can call us at